What's up, hockey fans? Welcome to our season preview show. It is finally here. And take a look at this, doing something a little different tonight. Joel's on that side. I'm on this side.
Is it bad that I didn't even notice that?
Maybe. Usually we're on the other sides, but we'll mix it up tonight.
Dude, I got one thing on my mind, and hockey is fucking back.
It is back.
I'm already starting season 3 out with the explicit tag. I don't even care.
We knew that was coming. You didn't even make it 30 seconds into the episode.
I am that excited. I am so pumped for this season. My team's going to be shit, but at least I have a superstar to root for.
Yeah, I guess there's that. 30 seconds into the show, we got a cuss. 45 seconds into the show, we got a Bedard reference.
I never said his name.
You didn't have to. You implied it. You didn't have to say it. We already got the reference. It's out of the way.
He's the number one. He made it on the Pat McAfee show today. You know that you're a big deal in hockey when that's happening.
Joey says, "Can we get Joel back on the right?" I'm shook right now. Yeah, we'll make that's an easy switch.
Wait, you're already going back on it? No, we got to own it.
No, we can't confuse Joey. Joey's been too loyal to the show to keep messing with Joey.
Fine.
Don't you want to be on that side anyway so you can say that you're always right?
I'm not always right, Dan, but I'm never wrong.
This guy. This guy.
It's a shout out.
We have so much content coming your way tonight, and we want to start with a division recap. Just kind of going over our predictions for where we said everybody was going to finish in the standings, just to give everybody kind of a benchmark on where we were at. Starting with the Atlantic Division. Joel, do you want to recap your picks here for us?
Oh, yeah. So, I had the Maple Leafs taking first in the Atlantic Division, then the Florida Panthers, followed by the Tampa Bay Lightning. So the top three are Toronto, Florida, Tampa, then Buffalo Sabres at 4, Boston Bruins at 5, Ottawa Senators at 6, Detroit Red Wings at 7, and Montreal at 8.
We were both in agreement about Toronto. We also made this Tampa Bay pick before there was the news of the Vasilevsky injury, which for me, I think now knowing that, I would flip Buffalo and Tampa Bay, but would keep the rest of the roster in order there. I do think Tampa is going to Jonas Johansson is not a good goaltender. He is not an NHL backup goaltender. He's a good AHL goaltender. He is not even, in my mind, an NHL backup. So we'll see behind Tampa Bay if he can get things steadied and under control. But I would not be surprised if Buffalo ends up jumping Tampa when these standings are all said and done. I did go with Florida at 4. I also have them at wild card 2 once again this year. Boston, I have out of the playoffs along with Detroit, Ottawa, and Montreal. Moving over to the Metro, I had the Carolina Hurricanes taking the division once again. New Jersey in 2nd, Pittsburgh 3rd, Rangers 4. Columbus, I think they're going to be in the mix, but on the outside of the playoffs looking in at number 5, the Islanders at 6, Caps at 7, and the Flyers at 8.
And I had the New Jersey Devils first in the Metro, Carolina Hurricanes at 2nd, New York Rangers 3rd, Pittsburgh Penguins 4th, Capitals 6th, the Poo Jackets Capitals at 5th. The Poo Jackets at 6th, the New York Islanders at 7, and Philadelphia Flyers in the basement of the Metro. And yeah, I mean, I think the big theme here, and while you're typing, the big theme here is, at least from my end, I am so extremely, incredibly high on the Devils this season. That will come to fruition as we go on. Oh, Joey, you are so right. Bedard season, baby. Bedard season. It's finally here.
Here we go.
Oh, you know what? All right, let's get this out of the way. You are going to have to man up and deal with it. Moving on to our Pacific Division standings recap. I have the Edmonton Oilers taking first in the Pacific, the Golden Knights right behind them at 2nd, the LA Kings pretty much right behind them at 3rd, Seattle Kraken at 4, 5, Calgary Flames, 6, Vancouver Canucks, 7, the Anaheim Ducks, and 8, and probably the basement of the NHL, the San Jose Sharks.
I went with the LA Kings taking the division here. Edmonton at 2, Vegas, your defending Cup champs, at 3, Calgary 4, and I think right on that edge of who's going to be in and who is going to be out on the playoffs. Seattle at 5, Vancouver 6, Anaheim 7, and San Jose 8. Now, Joel, your wild cards for the Western Conference. Did you go with Seattle and then hang on, let me get the right division up here.
Well, yeah, we didn't.
Well, yeah, I guess we'll do the Central first, but
so for Central, yeah. So Central recap, I had the Stars at taking the Central probably fairly easily, but the Avalanche at second, right behind them. Your Minnesota Wild in third, the Nashville Predators at 4, Winnipeg Jets at 5, the St. Louis Disgusting Blues at 6. Arizona Coyotes at 7, and my Chicago Blackhawks. And last, and you. Why are you pausing?
Oh, you said and last, and I thought you were
I said in last.
Oh, in last. Yep.
I was like, are you making me like stew in the fact that we're going to be last again? Like, is that what
No, I was waiting for you to finish your thought so that I could jump in.
Sure.
No, that's exactly what I was doing.
I know.
I, like you, have Dallas, Colorado, Minnesota, 1, 2, 3. Winnipeg on the heels of the Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuck extensions today, finishing 4th. St. Louis Blues in 5th. Arizona 6th. And I really had a hard time deciding if I was going to put Arizona ahead of St. Louis this year. Nashville at 7 and Chicago 8. Arizona, I think, really can surprise some people.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I almost already have changed my mind at putting them at 7. I actually kind of want to switch them in St. Louis. And hell, I don't even care about Winnipeg signings today with Scheifele and Hellebuck. I think those contracts are absolutely terrible.
I think they're going to be really good for about the first 3 years, and then after that, they're going to be.
I guess let me rephrase that. Hellebuck's is good because now you have a superstar goalie to build around, because that's exactly what you need to do in Winnipeg. You need to be rebuilding.
Kind of wonder. I mean, it's really tough. I just looking at where the middle of the pack in this Western Conference, the 3rd seed in each division plus wild card fringe teams. You're looking Minnesota, you're looking Winnipeg, you're looking Vegas, Calgary, Seattle, LA. Like, those teams are all kind of right in that mix of who's in, who's out on that playoff bubble. You have Calgary out. I have Calgary in. You have Seattle in. I have Seattle out. But it's close. I really think this Western Conference wild card 1 and the probably second of the teams that misses are going to be separated in my mind by about 5 points.
Yeah, and I think that just kind of comes from outside of the tippity top of each division in the West. Like, the West is kind of weak. But you got ahead of it. Now, who are your wild card 1 and 2 in the West?
Wild card 1, and I just removed the banners here.
That's fine. Just call
it. Wild card 1, I had the Calgary Flames. Wild card 2, Winnipeg Jets.
So I think my wild card 1 is probably Seattle, and my wild card 2. That's tough.
Are you looking Calgary or are you looking Winnipeg? Because that's where you'd be at on the standings. Nashville. Excuse me, not.
No.
Calgary and Nashville.
I guess here's the thing. I'm gonna go first hot take of the season. No wild card teams come from the Central.
Wow.
The Central is pretty bad. Or mid.
HP getting his pick in. Arizona wild
card 2, dude. It's starting to become a popular. That's his hot take. It's starting to become a popular. I just heard it today. The shout out the CHGO Blackhawks podcast I listened to. One of their main guys said that he's got the Coyotes taking wild card 2 and then getting their ass kicked in the first round, obviously. But I don't know, man. It's a popular take. It's a hot take, but it's a popular hot take. I would probably say Calgary, though. I would say Calgary, and then that is the wild card 2 in the Pacific. I don't. The Predators are just the king of mid. So are the Blues. So is Winnipeg. I don't care about the re-signings. I don't think they're going to be very good.
I'm torn. I could see Winnipeg finishing as high as second. I could see them as low as about sixth. Second.
Okay.
I mean, don't sleep on Velarde. Don't sleep on Iafallo.
All right, fine.
They've made some moves that roster could and should still be competitive. And if you're getting, for example, Colorado, who is going to be without Landeskog the entire season, you bring in Jonathan Drouin to take that spot on the first line. Drouin is not Landeskog. The two play very different styles. If that doesn't quite gel the same way with McKinnon and Rantanen as it did with Landeskog, that could be some trouble for Colorado early on. And it might take a little bit of time for that line to gel. That could open the door for a team like Minnesota, like Winnipeg, to sneak in there. I think Cole Perfetti takes a step forward for the Jets as well this year. That could be a really good Jets team, or it could go really bad in a hurry.
Finally, HP's chirping you for once.
Oh, of course.
Don't forget about Duchesne in Colorado, Dan.
For those who
Duchesne is in Colorado, Dan?
For those who saw our video last night that we did during our fantasy
speaking
hockey
of,
draft,
go check out our Pod Snipe Celly YouTube channel and look at our fantasy draft we did.
Yeah, after the show, of course.
After the show, don't do it right now, or put it off to the. No, don't put it off to the side. That's stupid.
Just wait on it. I had a brain fart moment, and I said Duchesne with Colorado. Wasn't my finest moment.
You're taking us back to the Patrick Waugh days.
Nah, not quite that far back, but
no, the Patrick Waugh coaching days.
Yeah,
that's when Duchesne would have been there.
Yeah.
But no, I guess you are kind of. You are just getting. You know what? I love this. This is how it should be. I'm the one usually getting chirped all the time. This is how this season's going to go. You're going to be getting chirped more often.
Great.
But I guess you've kind of sold me. I guess if we have to have a rule of you have to have a wild card from each division.
We didn't set that rule at all, so we didn't specify you had to pick one. But
I'm going to stick with my hot take. I wouldn't be surprised though if Winnipeg proves me wrong and takes one of those wild card spots. Hell, I could see him wild card 1 and Seattle really falling off, but still like making it. But yeah, now your Eastern Conference wild cards 1 and 2.
Eastern Conference.
Put those back up real quick.
I already deleted them. Let me get them added back in here. Wild card 1. I had the New York Rangers, and wild card 2, I had the Florida Panthers.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So first, I guess my first hot take, if you will, of the night, the Boston Bruins missing the playoffs this year.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm also going with the Boston Bruins are missing the playoffs this year. And I know I've said that now since we've started. This is our 3rd season of Pod Snipe Celly. I've said they're going to miss the playoffs every single season of Pod Snipe Celly. I've been wrong. So at this point, I am just going to keep saying it until it happens. And I think it's going to happen this year.
One of these days we'll be right.
I think it's going to happen. So yeah, I'm going to go with my wild card 1 is going to be Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And then my wild card 2. I'm sorry. My bad. My wild card 1 is going to be Buffalo. My wild card 2 is going to be Pittsburgh. That's what it was for the East. And I think that's the other thing. That's going to be another theme. I think both you and I are very high on the Sabres this year.
Yes. I think that is a team that is going to do some
Just
damage.
hold off. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Do some damage throughout the season, and we'll get into how far we think the Sabres might go with that damage a little later in the show here.
Yeah, so I'm actually pretty confident in that. The Penguins, I was selling myself off of them, but look, that's one of those, like, they have the old guys, and it's funny to say that Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin are the old guys now. But I don't necessarily, and actually HP here, hot take, Buffalo finishes top 3.
The top 3 in the division, in the conference, or in the league, HP. I'm going to need some clarification, because I know he is also very high on Buffalo, and it might be higher than top 3 in the division.
So yeah, he thinks in the division. And,
he did say in the division.
He did say in the division. I mean, again, I'm super high on him. I don't have him there just because, like, I wouldn't put money on that happening, but I definitely am on the bandwagon of it. Definitely could happen. But to your point, or no, I was talking about, like, Crosby and Malkin and everything. So they do have a lot of other good players too. And obviously, look, I get it. Your defenseman should be very good at playing defense, but I don't care. When Erik Karlsson puts up 100+ points, and that's the first defenseman to do it in, was it like the last 20 years or something?
Hang on, though, because didn't Yossi just do it?
Oh, he did. That's right.
Yeah.
Either way, when Karlsson puts up 100+ points as a defenseman, and
on a bad Sharks team,
and on one of the worst teams in the league, and probably the worst team in the league this year, I don't care. He's going to add something to that Penguins team, and I think they definitely squeak back into the playoffs after missing last year by losing in that last run. Thank you, Buddy Robinson.
Do you think Karlsson another 100-point season on the way here, now that he goes from where he was at in San Jose to, yes, he doesn't have to be the guy in Pittsburgh, but you're talking about he's going to be on a power play unit with Sidney Crosby, with Jake Gensel, with Rust, possibly with Malkin. You could throw those 5 on the ice all at once if you really wanted to.
It's so uncommon. Well, I mean, it's uncommon to see a defenseman put up 100 points in general, but to do it in back-to-back seasons.
If there's someone who has the offensive upside to do it,
it's him.
It's Karlsson.
And with those
maybe Yossi.
And with those weapons that he's now going to get to quarterback a power play.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think he can.
I think if he doesn't get there, he comes within about 5 points.
I think if you were to give me his over-under, and we'll get to some of those later on in the show too, if you're going to give me like over-under 90.5, I would probably hammer that over, but I don't know necessarily if you're going to tell me 100.5 if I'm going to hammer that over. But we'll see. HP has his take. He easily gets 100 this season, and yeah.
I'm trying to see if Erik Karlsson 90+ points on the season, plus 450 on FanDuel.
Oh, I would hammer the hell out of that.
90+ points for Karlsson. I would hammer that at plus 450.
I would absolutely hammer that.
That's tasty.
Yeah, I'm gonna go as far as to say that they're just giving away money there.
They very well might be, if he stays healthy, which is been a concern. We should bring that up. But if he's healthy,
how old?
I think he's 33.
That's what I thought too. Let me see. He is
33.
33. Yep,
nailed it
on the dot. Also, we were talking about it. Scheifele is 30, and he just signed an 8-year contract. Good God.
The last couple of years are going to be rough, but they needed that term, and that was the only way that they were going to lock him down that long and get him the money he wanted. And frankly, it's kind of earned over the last couple of years too, with the point value relative to the contract.
Dual $8.5 million a year contracts. Have fun
for
with
guys
that
who
salary.
just turned 30.
Yep, have fun with that salary cap.
Yeah. Well, depending how much the cap goes up the next couple of years, we'll see. They might be okay, but certainly not as tight as they would be if they signed those contracts 2 years ago.
Right. All right, Dan. I think we should get into it. We're talking about the season.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into it.
Okay, where do we want to start?
Let's go with the season awards.
Mm-hmm.
So, the awards for this season. You want to start with the President's Trophy?
Sure, we'll get that one. I've got that one queued up and ready here.
All right.
President's Trophy, I went with the Los Angeles Kings in what I think should be a very good top 5 spots in that Pacific Division.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be fun. I do think LA has the firepower. And as we saw with Colorado a couple years ago, if you've got a great team in place, but the goaltending is even just league average, it doesn't have to be, Shesterkin level. It doesn't have to be playoff Vasilevsky level. It doesn't have to be Ilya Sorokin level. You can get, if you get about a 908 or better save percentage, goals against around a 2.6, 2.7, somewhere in there,
mm-hmm.
and you have the offensive firepower to back it up, which LA does, they should be in pretty good shape. I do think Carolina is also very much going to be in the mix for the President's Trophy. I don't quite see Toronto that far up. Just the division they're in, I don't see them being able to separate that much. But I did think LA is going to be my prediction for the President's Trophy here.
And as it's shown up on my President's Trophy winner is going to be the Dallas Stars. They are a juggernaut. They are close to reminding me of what the Avs were a couple of years ago. And almost better because the Avs just had Darcy Kemper rolling into that season as their goaltender. The Stars have Jake Ottinger, who is going to be a perennial Vezina finalist, probably starting this season.
Yeah, in fact, that's the next one that we've got is we're going to talk Vezina next. But
exactly, but he is the real deal. I remember us talking about the playoff run and how special it was. Not this past playoffs, but the previous season's playoffs. His breakout playoff series in there. And saying, look, he's going to need to prove it throughout an entire full regular season, and that he did last year. He is insane, and that's something that you can have as your stopgap in front or behind a defense that is damn good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a solid squad.
Miro Heiskanen's leading that charge, and then Hakanpää as well is another big one there, but just
Hakanpää eats pucks and he hits everything that moves, and I love that.
Yeah.
Thomas Harley low-key had a really good playoff run as well, but kind of flew under the radar behind some of those other guys.
Yeah, and Esa Lindell had another decent showing as well. So, and then, you look, Ryan Suter's washed up, but he doesn't have to be the guy, and that's kind of nice, I guess. I don't know, having...
Well, and maybe if he's only playing, third pairing minutes this season, he'll be a little more refreshed come playoff time as well, where he can be a shutdown guy.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't take stupid penalties all season.
Yeah.
But then
mess up Kirill.
Up front is where they're scary.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just remove from our mind the reason that they lost that series, and that's Jamie Benn going off the deep end and just doing very selfish shit. But Jamie Benn, Genny Dadonov, they've added Matt Duchene,
Colorado legend, Matt Duchene.
Yeah, Colorado legend, right. They add Matt Duchene, which even at his age, he's still a speedster on a team that's pretty fast already anyway. Tyler Seguin is still playing well. Obviously, you have, I would argue, top 5 in the Hart voting this year in Jason Robertson.
He will certainly be in that conversation.
Yeah, Joe Pavelski is still playing at a high level even at his age.
Mm-hmm.
Rupe Hintz, who just broke out in these playoffs, he went off.
Yep, you got him. You got Wyatt Johnston on the way up too. Logan Stankoven could be a black ace come playoff time as well. I do think he probably needs a full season in the AHL before he comes up. But man, if you have not watched Stankoven play, the kid is, he's 5'10" or 5'11". Like I think he's 5'10", but like he plays like he's 6'10". Like he does not lose battles, and he regularly will battle for position in front of the net with guys who have 8 inches in height on him and come away with the puck.
Yeah. So
I love Stankoven.
To me, it's an easy ticket. I think Dallas is going to just destroy. And not to mention, here's the other big point I want to make before we move on. The West is the weakest.
But by the way, going back for 2 seconds, Stankoven is 5'8". He's not even 5'10". He's 5'8". Wow. But he will win puck battles against guys who are 6'8".
Is he Quadzilla? That's probably why.
He's just a skating machine and bulldog on a puck.
So the West is obviously, we've talked about it, it is still the weaker of the two conferences. And I'm going to argue, outside of San Jose, obviously in the Pacific, the Central is also the weakest division of all 4 of them.
I don't know. I think Anaheim worries me with where they're at just as a franchise.
I guess going into this season, sure, but the talent that they have stocked up in their
over the next couple years, they're going to be really stupid good. For right now, for this season, I think they're looking at a top 5 pick and might be top 3 once again.
Yeah. So outside of them and San Jose, every team in the Central is like, they're just mid. I'm not saying they're horrible, but they're mid, especially against the big, good teams like Dallas, like Colorado. I know Colorado is going to come out swinging this year, but I just think Dallas is going to have their way with a lot of their interdivision games and also interconference games. And that's why I think they're just going to just run away with taking the President's Trophy this year. The only argument because you gave a backup as well. I have a backup, and I told you I'm high on the New Jersey Devils. They are my other backup for the President's Trophy winner. They are like Dallas, but faster, younger, and just they have more superstar. Excuse me. They have more of those superstar names that are technically almost not even in their prime yet, like a Nico Hischier, like Jack Hughes. I mean, Jack Hughes is their main superstar, obviously, but right.
But then also you have Luke Hughes, who could be in your Calder conversation this year.
Right, exactly. So they're younger, but they're younger and ready, as opposed to we were just talking about Anaheim. They're younger. They have some up and coming kids, but they're not ready yet. Yep. Like the same thing with the Hawks. We obviously have the big pipeline. We have a lot of the younger talent, but they're not ready yet outside of a couple that'll start this year. The obvious being the Dart, but a couple others. So that's the difference. And New Jersey proved it. And they didn't just squeak into the playoffs last year either and just they were
a point off of winning the division.
Exactly. Right. And they also made noise in the playoffs, knocking out who I picked to win the cup within the Rangers. Or to make it to the cup, sorry. They proved it. They made noise in the playoffs. They're ready. And actually, I heard this comp today. To me, they're like the 2010 Hawks. They proved it. They proved it. They're here. They're ready. They're about to make some pretty deep noise this year.
They're going to be so good over the next couple of years too.
Yeah. But
if they get the stars, and again, the goaltending tandem there with Vanacek and Schmid, that could get fun.
All right, Dan, you want to go with the Vezina Trophy?
Yeah, Vezina Trophy. We came out unanimous on this one. We are both going with the aforementioned Jake Ottinger. I had a tough time on this one, deciding between Ottinger and Ilya Samsonov. Or not Samsonov, excuse me. Ilya Sorokin. Sorokin. Sorokin.
I was like, okay, if Samsonov's winning the Vezina,
which again, so many good Russian goalies right now.
Maybe okay,
in
sure,
the NHL, but
maybe Toronto can win the cup then.
Yeah, let's not get that hasty.
Wait, here we go.
Jake Ottinger, yeah.
We got some comments we got to get through here. Joey, the big question: does the President's Trophy winner choke in the first round? No. That's actually really good. I wish I would have brought these up when we were when we had the banner up. No, not this year. No. Although, actually,
I want to see who the President's Trophy winner is before I say that. I also want to see, are they healthy going into the playoffs? Those are the two biggest things. Because Boston last year was so spent trying to set the regular season record that by game 4 of the playoffs, we'll get that one back up. By game 5 of that series, they just got outworked so badly, and they were banged up, they were hurt, and Florida was like just getting healthy. And I think we really took for granted the health, thinking that Boston was healthy when they weren't last season. Dallas, if they were to win the Presidents, is probably playing some combination of Seattle, Calgary, Minnesota, Winnipeg. That's roughly where you're looking for that wild card round. I don't know that I can pick
Nashville,
any of those
perhaps.
teams. I can't pick any of those teams in a 7-game series over Dallas in the first round next year, depending on health. Same with LA. I can't see LA losing in the first round to any of those teams.
They're just they're such a well-built team.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the theme here too. It's the building of the actual team as opposed to just like, all right, we got a couple superstars, and then after that, we don't really know what's going on. That's kind of why I agree with you on LA. I like
cough, Edmonton. Over the last couple of years, you can't tell me that's not Edmonton.
Well, exactly. That's exactly who I'm referencing.
Yep.
But yeah, all right. So anyway, back to the Vezina Trophy. Yeah, I mean, that there's not even much to cover here. Like you said, we were both kind of unanimous here. I mean, yeah, taking like a Vasilevsky when he comes back because he'll come back healthy and ready to go, or Shesterkin. Like it's chalk-ish, or like Sorokin, I know is another big favorite. In fact, I think he is the favorite on FanDuel specifically. I think his odds were the best at plus 400.
Yeah, I've got FanDuel up right now, so I can take a look at that.
Yeah, I think his last I checked earlier this afternoon, his odds were the best at plus 400.
Right now, we have 4 goaltenders at plus 500 that all take the lead.
Things change that quickly.
Yep, they really do based on the betting action. So, Saros, Shesterkin, Hellebuck, and Sorokin are all plus 500. Ottinger plus 1,100.
That's good money.
Some good betting value potentially there on Ottinger.
Yeah, that's very good money. I'm not going to lie. You know me. I don't do futures. This one I actually might be willing to do.
Between that one and Erik Karlsson, 90-plus points.
Right.
Those are your 2 futures.
Those 2 are almost like – that almost seems too easy.
Yeah. I kind of dislike how we stacked the top of the show here because we are also in lockstep again on our Art Ross Trophy winner for most points.
That's the best way to do it. I wanted to be in lockstep until we started deferring.
I guess that kind of works.
It's
now that I see how you produced it, yeah, that works.
It's Connor McDavid. Is it like? This is one of those, like, you know how last night on our draft show you asked, and we'll get to the Calder, but don't answer this question because we'll talk about it. But like you asked Joey and HP, like, are you for the Calder? You're going to take Bedard or the Field? That's like asking the same question here for the Art Ross. You're going to take McDavid or the Field? I'm taking McDavid 100 times out of 1,000. Or wait, 100 times out of 100.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Unlike the
you have to say 1,000 out of 1,000, not 100 out of 1,000.
Unlike the Bedard versus the Field for the Calder, where Bedard is close to plus money, if not like kind of right around that minus 113, 115 mark. Connor McDavid is minus 205 to win the Art Ross. The field is plus 162. So again, from a value bet standpoint, taking the field to get way more people, it could be betting value, but like, come on, it's McDavid.
Yeah.
You're not taking him off that pedestal. And if you're looking at player points, I'm trying to find the specific.
I'm trying to remember.
Connor McDavid is over or under 137.5 is where the line is at right now.
Stupid.
It's ridiculous. Remember when we did this show 2 years ago on our preview show, and we said over or under 100 and I think it was 110 for McDavid was where we had the line at. Even
before we started the show, you remember talking about, I think around 20. I want to say 2015 or 16, and we were all talking about, hey man, or to even up into 2017 and 18, we were like, hey, when do you think we're going to have 100-point player again? We haven't had one in a while.
Yeah, and now, I mean, the bar is higher, and we have guys who can consistently hit 100 points again. But like, to get 150 whatever that he had last year was just insane.
I'm going to go back and check myself on this, but over the last 3 seasons, has he set his own career high each season? That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. He's continued to take off.
Like, it's easy. It's just an easy choice.
Yeah. And unlike that other line of the McDavid versus the field, over and under 137.5 is even money each way at minus 113.
Yep.
So it says where the betting action is at, that they think it's going to be real close to that 137 total, which is just hard to fathom based on what we've seen over the last 2 decades of hockey. Right.
And hold on, I'm moving these for a second so we can put those lower.
Okay.
All right. So on that note, shall we move on to the Rocket?
Let me get the slide included here first, but
no. Just kidding. Oh man, I'm so excited.
I gotta do a little uploading here as we switch things around.
Yes.
Richard Trophy. Dan taking Alex Ovechkin. Similar to you don't bet against McDavid for the Art Ross and who's going to lead the league in scoring. You don't go against Ovechkin in goals until he says otherwise. He needs 69 more goals, to tie Gretzky's record. His career high in goals is 65. So it's like, I mean, he has to break his career high to tie Gretzky this season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that will happen.
No.
But I do think we get another 50-plus goal season from Ovechkin because he just continues to thrive.
What did he finish with last year?
Last year he had 48. 48? I want to say.
That's what I thought. Okay. Well, and to
let me call that up and confirm it. But
no, I think you're right. I think it's 48.
Sorry, 42. 48 was
42.
48 was a couple years ago. 42.
Okay.
But that basically, other than 21, where he only played 45 games, and by the way, had 24 goals in those 45 games. It's pretty much consistently been 49, 51, 48, 50, and then 42. A little bit of a dip. I think he comes right back up this year, just with how injured the Capitals were last year. I can't see them going through that many injuries again. I hope I'm not putting the curse on him by saying that, but for me, it's Ovi.
And you said it yourself in there. It's Ovi until Ovi says so. Well, no, because as of last year, it was Connor McDavid, and Connor McDavid said so.
Yeah, it was him. It was Pasta.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Maybe Robo, maybe Kaprizov.
Yeah, it was. Well, actually, here I have it up. I have it up for you. It was. Pardon. Yeah, so it was McDavid, Pasta, Mikko Rantanen, Leon Draisaitl, Braden Point, Tage Thompson, Jason
Braden
Robertson.
Point quietest 50-goal season.
I know, right?
Last year,
No one paid
nobody
attention to that for some
yeah.
reason. Tage Thompson and Jason Robertson, two of the breakout superstars, three of the breakout. Jack Hughes with 43, Nathan McKinnon with 42, tying out. Oh, sorry, it was Carter Verhaeghe had 42. That's wow.
Yeah. He also, and that's part of why Florida was able to get that push and get into the playoffs. Was Verhaeghe.
Adrian Kempe too, 41.
He's going to have a monster year with the Kings this year.
So there's my thing. McDavid was over 20 goals ahead of Ovi, and I'm not. I agree with you, Ovi. I could get back into 50 this year.
I think because he's starting to move closer to Gretzky's milestone, there's going to be that big momentum to get him there.
And how many does he need this year? Did you say 68?
He needs 69 to tie.
Oh, that's right. Nice.
Yep.
So he needs 69 to tie. He's not gonna. It sucks too because it's like McDavid got 64, so like just 5 more than that to tie, right? But like, I don't see. I mean, we were just monumenting that Matthews broke 60, and he was the first 60 breaker in the last however many years. I can't remember how many years. But then McDavid just says, okay, well, hold my beer. I'm going to go ahead and do it and then add 3 more or 4 more to it. But I'm just at this point now, like now that McDavid got that one, I'm just going to say, like, I'm not going to bet against him on his goal. His goal scoring ability is the best in the league, just like his playmaking ability is best in the league. He's best in the league at absolutely everything. He's arguably the best we've ever seen at everything. I'm giving him the Rocket Richard again. I think now the torch has been passed.
I certainly could see McDavid getting there. Again, McDavid is just so ridiculously good at hockey.
The man, if I can close it out on this to move to the next one, the man is on a mission. He wants a Stanley Cup, but he doesn't want to coast to that Stanley Cup, which I would argue some teams can do that. Colorado can absolutely do that. Dallas can probably do that. The Devils can well, now they're a little younger. They probably can't do that. There's nothing wrong with coasting, just getting to the dance and then being that good team that wins it all. McDavid just doesn't want to do that. Also, they don't have the team to do that anyway, but
I think the last time we saw someone like truly will a team to a Stanley Cup was Ovechkin during his run. And that's not to say that Cup winners since then haven't had ridiculously good performances like Kucherov a couple of years ago. But again, with Kucherov, you still had the outstanding goaltending with Vasilevsky. You had brilliant defensive play on the back end from Hedman. That squad put either of Tampa Bay's Cup teams against that Capitals squad, the Lightning should be winning that one.
Yeah.
Like just head to head. Yeah. But Ovechkin, like I've never seen a player just take over a team in the playoffs like that. McDavid has gotten close to that. And he's kind of been knocking on the door the last couple of years. It would not surprise me if this is the year that he kicks the door down and is just to get to that level. He's so close and has been over the last couple of years. Like it's only a matter of time.
Yep. And he's still only 27 right now, or 28, 27? I think he's 27.
26. I was younger than that.
I think he just turned 27 not too long ago is what it was. No, he's 27.
I'm seeing 26. He will turn 27 in January.
Okay. So he turns 27 this season. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So, like, we are just entering prime McDavid era. So.
Which is hilarious to even think about.
Yeah. that the best is yet to come, potentially, with McDavid here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We move on to the Norris Trophy.
Yeah. Going from who can score the most goals to who can get the most points as a D-man. Okay, not quite, but
I mean,
and for that reason, I went with Jacob Slavin because it's not about who puts up the most points. It is who is the best all-around defenseman in the game. That is what the award is supposed to be. Slavin has been building a lot of momentum in that regard over the last couple of years. From a shutdown D-man standpoint, he is about as good as it gets. My pick this year, Jacob Slavin. Put some respect on his name. Give him the Norris that is long overdue. The only way I could see really the argument of points is if, for example, like Carlson gets 120 as a D-man. Because like we were just talking about the 100-point seasons.
Yeah.
If Carlson puts up 120, okay, I hear the argument there for points.
I also think
Slavin. It's time. Give it to Slavin.
And on my end, a similar argument, but it's more of the best all-around defenseman is the Norris Trophy, but also the most points. And that's why I think Rasmus Dahlin is primed and ready to take his first. Again, we said we're both high on the Buffalo Sabres. He continues to just take steps forward. In the points department specifically, he's stepped up in the last 3 years. He's gone up 30 and 20 respectively. He only had 23 points in the 2020-2021 season. Then he had 53 points, 21-22. And then last season, he got all the way up to 73 points, 15 goals, 58 assists. 73 points. I could see Dahlin knock on the door of 100 points because of that up-and-coming star power that has now broken out on the Sabres. He has solidified himself as that first overall pick that people were giving up on right away because, oh, well, he's not a superstar out of the gate. He's a bust because that's apparently how we think of everybody when they get drafted in the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
He is,
not to mention, defensemen always have longer growth trajectories for when they adjust to the NHL level than forwards.
And I'd argue that even as a first overall pick, he was rushed. I don't think he should have been in the NHL his first season.
No, probably not.
But he was on an absolute dumpster fire Buffalo team.
Mm-hmm.
They really had no other choice, especially from a marketing standpoint. Yeah, exactly. So he's finally taking shape, and he's only going to get better from here on out. 73 points, his career high. And by the way, he is only 23 years old.
Okay.
So we just talked about McDavid just entering his prime as a forward at 26. Defensemen enter their prime a tiny, tiny tad bit later, like around that 28 mark. So he ain't even close to that yet. So I just think he's primed and ready to go. And now I know everyone's going to be looking at us like, how the hell did both of you not pick Cale Makar? Are you just not going chalk? Well, Joel spelled Seth Jones wrong.
Joey with the comment of the night.
Listen.
That wins.
I don't want to hear any hate for Seth Jones. He's a damn good defenseman. He's just not a number 1. Anyway. He's just the
number one money, though.
He's a number 1 on a bad team. But Kevin Korchinski's on his way. Anyway. I think that's kind of my backup here. I would go chalk and say I think Cale Makar probably will take it, but something tells me that Rasmus Dahlin can just build on this. Now, again, we're hyping the Sabres up. They got to live up to that hype. But I think they can because the hype to them we've already seen the flashes of their hype. Whereas I know we were kind of hyping, let's say, like the Red Wings for the last couple of years. Like, okay, I think they're about to arrive here. And they have not lived up to that.
For what it's worth, Dahlin has tied for the second best Norris Trophy odds this year. Makar is the favorite, plus 240.
That just makes sense.
Adam Fox and Rasmus Dahlin, plus 650. Roman Josi, plus 1,100. Erik Karlsson and Dougie Hamilton, plus 1,300. So that there's that much betting action on Dahlin says something.
Exactly. I just think he's ready. And he showed that last year, and it was almost like under the radar, not too under the radar. He was getting talked about. And obviously he had a career year, but he has a career year in a breakout season for his team. Now his team is here and ready to make some noise. So I don't know, man. I think the combo of like his defensive play in his own zone, but also quarterbacking power plays for them. You get if you're on a power play line with someone like a Tage Thompson, like you're gonna, and he might. Ooh, wouldn't it be kind of fun to have Owen Power and Darlene on the same pairing? Or are they two the same?
I mean, it would be, but I'm pretty sure they both shoot left. Yeah, they do.
You don't have to split that up, though.
I mean, you don't, but you've got one of them playing on their offhand, which could mess things up a little bit, but
yeah, that's fair.
We'll see. Could be your boy Henry Yokiharu out there on the power play as well with either of those two.
He's solid.
Sorry to have to bring him up, but
I mean, I'm not like crying over losing him. I think like we probably would have had to trade him anyway, like last year when we were rebuilding.
So I just realized we did not pick winners for the Bergeron Award. I mean the Selke Award.
You're right.
So
we didn't.
So I'm just going to take that down for a minute and take 30 seconds to talk Selke.
Go ahead. I kind of did that on purpose.
Go with who Joel Eriksson is my homer pick for that one.
Okay.
I think he could get there. It's so tough. Like the Selke odds once you take Bergeron out of the picture, it's like why bother? Almost. I mean, you still appreciate the good defensive forward play, good strong two-way play. Barkov as well could be in the mix. I think Ryan O'Reilly, as good as he's been defensively in his career, now going to Nashville, which like just builds team defense, that could be a really good fit as well.
That's a pick.
And then Matty Beniers could be in there as well.
You forgot a name, and I think this is my pick. He is actually the top. He is the top odds. At least on FanDuel, but I was actually going to pick him anyway, so I'm just kind of happy FanDuel is fueling my fire for it. I think Nico Hischier takes it.
I was trying to find where that was, and I didn't see it here. Was that?
Yep, I think Nico Hischier takes it this year. He was top 3 last year, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe he was.
I believe he was either top 3 or top 5.
I am glad that you're able to see Selke Trophy odds. I am not on.
I got it.
So yep. as long as you got it, read off some of the favorites here for me.
Yeah. So my pick is going to be Nico Hischier, and that's also FanDuel's pick because his odds are the best at plus 470, and the next best are plus 1,000 for Mitch Marner and Alexander Barkov.
Yeah. I think it goes Barkov probably.
Your boy, if you want to throw futures in there for your homer pick, he is third because there was that tie for second. He's third at plus 1,500.
Yeah, Eriksson is just a workhorse.
And of course, we are forgetting. Well, actually, it's a 3-way tie for third at the plus 1,500 range. Actually, there's 4, but I'm just going to go with Elias Pettersson's also there. Anze Kopitar, obviously. We're forgetting that name, but he's...
I didn't forget Kopitar. I just thought as offensive as that team is going to be,
yeah, plus
like the highlight isn't going to be on his defensive play.
It's more just because for a while, the literal 3-way battle was Patrice Bergeron, Anze Kopitar, Jonathan Taves. But Patrice Bergeron was pretty much taking it every single time.
Yeah, with Datsuk in there a little bit as well earlier on.
Yeah, so like it. Yeah,
Nico played for 1 year.
I'm gonna go Nico Hischier on that. I know, like we actually purposefully didn't include it just because it's a little more of a technical award, but like to go over it, yeah, I'm gonna go Nico Hischier, and you're gonna go Joel Eriksson, which another solid pick.
And maybe not quite a spoiler alert at this point, but. And that was the only wild player that I had taking any hardware this year. So,
well, that's a really good segue into our next because I have a Blackhawk player.
We put it off. We put it off long enough. Go ahead.
No. What's this wee shit?
Tell us about your Calder Trophy winner.
I mean, I know it's chalk, but it's obvious chalk. It's the Calder Trophy. It's Connor Bedard's trophy to lose.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the number one story going into the season. His debut. He's going to be on a crap team, but it doesn't matter. He's still surrounded by good veteran presence. Taylor Hall is going to make him. Taylor Hall alone is going to. What's the word I'm looking for? Inflate his point totals.
Taylor Hall could be a 40-goal scorer this year. If Bedard lives up to the level that we think he is going to, there is a non-zero chance that Hall could get to 40 goals.
I can see the pain in your face, and it's kind of funny.
I hate so much that he is in Chicago.
It's just
I have a hard time putting into words how much
you would be like. I know you would have like a twinkle in your eye if it was any other team.
Literally any other team.
Well,
if he had gone to Boston in this year's draft after they just won the Presidents last year, I would have been better with that than him ending up in Chicago.
Well, this is
my
Minnesota.
house.
So Minnesota Chicago show.
There is no joy in Mudville. So it is what it is, and I will learn to deal with it. And I will hope that at the end of his ELC, he will move on to greener pastures elsewhere. But I am ready for him to torment my team for the next 20 years.
It's time to man up and just deal with it.
I just said I am preparing for him to torment my team for the next 20 years.
20?
And you're talking, 20 years.
Yeah,
that's what it's going to be. That is how
18.
long he is going to torment my team.
I mean, you said it today, more so than Patrick Kane or Jonathan Taves tormented your team.
Yeah, and seriously, like the people who I can point to and be like they owned the Wild and consistently like put up good numbers against. Like Jerome McGinley holds that top spot. Patrick Kane is at number 2 and Joe Sakic is number 3. And as far as goaltenders go, Mika Kiprasov. The Wild could never, ever beat Mika Kiprasov. Like, I said it before on the show. Like, Kiprasov could be on like a 10-game losing streak. Calgary could be on a 20-game skid. And Kiprasov would find a way to stop 50 of 50 and put up a shutout. And they would win a 1-0 hockey game with that goal from McGinley. Like that is how good he was against us.
Well,
Bedard, honestly, like I am bracing for him to be worse than all of those 3. I really am.
Well, I am. I've been drinking the Kool-Aid, obviously. Why wouldn't I? We are blessed to get this kid, and it's really funny to see he only got 1 empty net goal in the regular preseason. Huh? Oh my God! Like the kid's gonna be awesome. We'll go over some props later. Look, I mean, it's the number 1 story going into the season, but I also am taking. I know we talked about do you take Connor Bedard or do you take the field? And I think the field is a damn good field. And
it is. It is.
That leads into your
field
pick for Calder.
Yeah, my pick for the Calder is Devin Levi, who I think looking at the quality of the team, which does inherently skew the voting a little bit, I just needed to get somebody other than Bedard to talk about here as well. Because Fantilli, Columbus will be decent, but I don't think he's going to have the numbers. Leo Carlson, hurt to start the year. Not sure where he's going to be at, but Leo Carlson's going to be good. To me, Devin Levi could be in position to earn the starting job before the end of the season. And if he, as a rookie, takes over the starting job in Buffalo and leads that team to their first playoff appearance in what will be 13 seasons, that's going to be a really hard sell to not give him the Calder, regardless of Bedard. Now, if Bedard is point per game pace, like they're going to give it to him just because he's first overall pick, future of the league, all that stuff. Like they'll give it to him. But you got to remember too, like Connor McDavid got hurt during his rookie year, should have still had the Calder, didn't. Like,
I know.
But everybody had already written off like he's gonna get it. Like everybody knew. And
if that's you trying to like
if
that's you trying to manifest the juju of like Connor Bedard
No, not at all.
hurt.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Like,
no,
my
I
God, man.
I don't want good players getting hurt. Even if they are Blackhawks, I don't want good players getting hurt. The game is better when the star players are on the ice. And Bedard is going to be a star. He's going to be the future of the league. I get it. I'm just saying, like, with how everybody has chalked it up, I wanted to have somebody different in this segment as well that poses a legitimate threat to Bedard. Now, do I still think Bedard is going to get it? Probably so. But the person who I think is best poised with the situation, with the opportunity, I think Devin Levi has a very, very good shot at the Calder. And the odds were like, he's high in the odds. He's right up there with Fantilli. He's right up there with Matty Nice. He's right up there with Logan Cooley, who we need to mention in this segment as well.
I was about to, because if you had to ask me who I would pick outside of Bedard, just if you just were not allowed to pick the obvious answer of Bedard, I would pick Logan Cooley. Or, it's tough. All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's tough. And you got Luke Hughes in there, who we mentioned earlier, but didn't even bring him up there. Sorry.
You keep taking my thoughts out of my brain.
I just thought you were so one-track minded on Bedard that I was going to
help you out. I have. Will you get out of here? My God. Get this sad boy sack out of here.
I'm not sad.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, maybe a little.
Anyway,
Joey with a great. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get Joey's comment here in the back.
Go ahead.
Devin Levi is going to play meaningful games. If Bedard is around 60 points and Levi is rolling into the playoffs, it's hard not to give him a solid look. Yeah, because that's the thing is like Levi not only being the starting goaltender potentially later in this year, but those meaningful games down the stretch too. He steals some wins late in the year to really lock in Buffalo's playoff spot. That's going to be more meaningful, I think, to some voters than points on a team that isn't going to make the playoffs. And I think Fantilli is up against that. I think Carlson is up against that. I mean, Hughes is the only other one that, like, it's. I point to that team and I go, you are on a playoff team. Matty Nyes, too. Like, Toronto's going to be a playoff team. But those three are kind of really the only ones. And Matty Nyes isn't going to get first line minutes, and Luke Hughes is not going to get top pairing defensive minutes. Devin Levi could get starting goaltender minutes. That's my pick there.
Thank you, Joey.
Yeah, it's still Bedard's season. I get it.
No, but anyway, I had thoughts, but you just ripped them all away from me. Literally was going to say, like, I'm between Logan Cooley or Luke Hughes if I can't pick Bedard. But also to your point of what rookies kind of leading their team to the playoffs also mean. You're right. We have seen that in the last couple. Matty Beniers also was the highest scoring rookie last year, but on a Seattle team that got into the playoffs and also made noise in the playoffs. But before that, I remember I was fighting for Trevor Zegras to win the Calder. He still probably should have, at least from a point standpoint and a marketing standpoint, but Moritz Seider meant way more to that Detroit team, who was arguably at least kind of sort of trying to push for the playoffs. They didn't make it, but
closer
closer than Anaheim, and also the position too. Like the forward rookie is always kind of the obvious choice, but when you're a defenseman trying to lead a defensive rookie trying to lead your team to the playoffs, a goaltending rookie in Devin Levi
it's hard.
Taking the starting position, leading your team to the playoffs. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But you went on a rant trying to prove it to me. I agree with you.
I'm going to throw a couple names out here as well that I don't know why FanDuel is listing odds on these guys. Jesper Wallstedt plus 10,000, Sebastian Kosa plus 10,000.
You brought this up last night.
Yeah. It just reiterating for everybody who didn't catch last night's show, there is no reason for those guys to have their odds listed. They are not going to play anywhere near enough games to qualify.
Do not put a futures bet on either of those.
Yeah, I get it. You're looking plus 10,000. If I only put $1 on it, that's $100. You're losing your dollar. I'll just tell you right now.
Who else do we got? I want to see some of the plus, because now here. Also, Blackhawks fans, we have Connor Bedard now that you realize that Kevin Korchinski is going to start the season here, don't put a bet on him.
No. No, don't bet on Korchinski. Don't bet on Wyatt Kaiser, who it looks like he's going to make the roster.
Well, he's not even. I wouldn't put Wyatt Kaiser even in the thought. Korchinski's good enough to at least try it. But
Lucas Raymond doesn't qualify for Calder this year, does he? Has he played enough games that he is out of?
He's out.
Okay,
because he was in the voting for last year, I think, and he was 2 years ago. When was he a rookie?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, because the NHL has a slider for when you can be classified as a rookie. No.
Logan Stankoven's at plus 10,000. You seem to think he might be able to come up, but
okay. So actually, 2 seasons ago, he was 4th in the Calder voting.
There you go. So now he's
so yeah. Who was I thinking of then, if not Raymond, that in the Hawk system and could be Calder
in the Hawk system?
Yeah, like there was somebody else that I was like, other than. Like it's going to be Bedard, but somebody else could come up and make that splash. I'm trying to remember who I was thinking of for that.
It wouldn't be him. I don't think he can. But were you thinking Reichel?
I wasn't thinking Reichel.
Comesso? He ain't coming up. He might, but he probably won't. Other than Korchinski and obviously Bedard, who were you thinking of?
I have no idea who I'm thinking of here.
Colton Dock doesn't have a chance.
He might make
the team.
Important at this point.
Yeah,
not important.
No.
We'll forget.
But yeah, I mean, look, I went chalk. I know a lot of people are going chalk, but I see the arguments. I'm not sitting here. Mm-hmm. I'm not sitting here like some cocky asshole saying it's Bedard. Why are you even thinking it's anybody else? Like that? No, because like you said, McDavid didn't win it. I know he got hurt. He got hurt.
Yeah,
but still. Things happen. Bad things happen, even not injury. Some things just happen. Like even if he,
he could have a really good season, and somebody else just has a better one. Like that's entirely possible,
fine. And it happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it happened to Jonathan Taves. That turned out fine. Like
you take your wins where you can get them.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean we'll talk more about Bedard later. Don't worry.
Oh, shocker! Yeah, no, we're going to talk about Bedard a lot this year, folks. Just get ready for it. Like it's going to happen. Lean into
obviously, but what we need to finalize our awards with is the Hart Trophy.
Yes,
go on, put it up there. So I'll explain mine.
Yeah, you go with yours first because we've talked McDavid enough, and I went with he's going to just win the awards because he'll be at the top of the points, top of the everything. So,
and quite frankly, I agree with you. But I wanted to throw a little fun twist into things. So I had McDavid as Art Ross. I had McDavid as Rocket Richard. That's fair. And obviously, if you're winning both of those, it's almost kind of like it usually ends up solidifying like, yeah, you got the Hart if you won the other two. But similar to your point, with talking about the Calder, there have been quite a few times where the Hart doesn't necessarily go to whoever wins the Art Ross or whoever wins the Rocket Richard.
Mm-hmm.
They do decide to throw it in of like, all right, well, what did you mean to your team and what did your team ultimately do? Mm-hmm. We talked about the Devils being in the conversation of the President's Trophy.
Do I ultimately do you have them as the top team in the Eastern Conference in the regular season?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And the argument is there.
Exactly. They will be the top team in the East, the entire Eastern Conference, and it's going to be on the back of Jack Hughes. Now, yeah, they obviously have a stacked team. It's not going to be all, but he is poised to, and actually, I wonder if I can find, I don't think they go that in-depth on over-unders on every player's points, but let me look for it at least.
Are you looking for Hughes's?
Yeah.
Hughes point total? I had that one up just a minute ago.
Oh, do you?
Yes. Jack Hughes, regular season points, over or under. They have the line set at 99.5. So basically, is he going to be a 100-point player this year?
And I'm okay. And I'm going to take that over. I don't know how far over he gets. I'm not going to say he breaks 110, but I could see him hitting 102, maybe. That's probably my random number I'll throw out, 102, maybe 104. Like
I
he
still can't believe though that the line for Hughes is 99.5 and the line for McDavid is 137.
I know.
I cannot wrap my head around just how far away he is from everybody else in projected points.
It's so stupid.
Like it's insane. And like all of these lines, it's like even money across the board. And that, I mean, 137. Like even Pasta, 94.5. For perspective on Rookie Watch, Bedard's line is at 68.5, which that's a decent line. He could come close to that line. Jason Robertson, 100.5. Kaprizov, 95.5. Draisaitl, 116.5. The line is currently 21 points more for McDavid ahead of Draisaitl.
And he's on the same line.
And he's on the same team and on the ice a lot of the same time.
Yeah. On the ice at the same time. Sorry. But yeah, I wanted to go a little different. Jack Hughes had 99 points last year, 43 goals and 56 assists. Before that, he had 56 points. And even at 56, people were calling him a bust. Again, same thing. I'm always going to just completely lash against the people that are like, oh, this first overall pick. Yeah, we wasted that pick. Give the kids some friggin' time to grow. My God. And you know what? I'm saying that to Blackhawks fans too. Because this year, I swear to God, if he puts up like, I don't know, 60 points.
If Bedard goes like his first 5 games without a point.
Yeah, Blackhawks fans are going to be
Blackhawks
like,
Twitter is going to just melt down.
Yeah. And meanwhile, look, the majority of us are smarter than that, but there are obviously those fans that are like, oh, how's Bedard doing? He's only got 5 points in 10 games. That's pretty terrible. No.
Side note, they do have the list of Connor Bedard, team against which his first career regular season goal.
I was going to mention that when we get to the props.
Okay.
I have a pick for that.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up, though. You reminded me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's just the thing. I think, and actually, I also absolutely agree. Like, if he got 99 last season, he's going to break 100 this season, especially with the Devils. Arguably, they could win. I'm not going to, tease that. But yeah, I don't know, man. McDavid will sweep everything, and I think somehow, like, randomly, Jack Hughes will just be like, look, this dude carried his team to the top team in the East. I know they don't take playoffs into account, but whatever they do in the playoffs, I think Jack Hughes can take it this year.
It could be one of those things where Hughes gets the Hart Trophy, but the players vote McDavid, or the other way around.
I was thinking the other way around, where the players vote Hughes.
Yeah.
Even though McDavid does whatever he does, McDavid things.
Yeah. That could go either way.
And actually, Jack Hughes odds are plus 1,700 to win the Hart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, that's another future. So I'm a little tempted to throw at.
Yep.
It's a long shot, but it's tempting. And Dan, obviously, picking McDavid, which is the smart, obvious choice. But
I don't know that it's necessarily obvious, but certainly the favorite.
Yep. All right, Dan, we've talked singular player trophies. We've talked President's Trophy. We've talked about the teams. We've shown people our divisions.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time to tell everyone who our Stanley Cup final picks are.
So I'll start with the matchup here before we get our
no, I know. That's what this is.
Picks up on the board.
What are each of our Stanley Cup final matchups?
So my matchup is the Dallas Stars against the Carolina Hurricanes. And those of you who have followed this offseason, I've really talked a lot about both of those clubs. To me, those are two of the more complete top-to-bottom teams in this league. I do think Dallas probably needs a depth defenseman, like you're looking third pairing, maybe second, if you can figure out a way to make the money work to get him. But their forward group is set. Their goaltending is set. Ottinger, after last year, he had such a strong showing during the playoffs that it would not surprise me at all if not only does he carry them, but potentially if that's a team that goes and wins the Cup, he's probably your Conn Smythe winner on that team.
Who'd you say? You broke up on my end.
Oh, Ottinger.
Oh, Ottinger, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because again, like, Hintz is going to be good. Robertson's going to be good. You're going to get from Ben, Sagan, Johnson, Heiskanen. Ottinger, to me, he will determine how far that team can go. And I think there are other teams where it's like, the Oilers will go as far as McDavid and Draisaitl carry them. The Colorado Avalanche will go as far as McKinnon and Makar can carry that team. Like, they will live and die by how Jake Ottinger plays. And I think this can be a year where Ottinger is good enough to get him to the dance. Similarly, Carolina, I've picked them to go to the Cup each of the last 3 years. They've been knocking on the door. They've been getting so close. And it ends up being injuries keep derailing them. But they somehow keep finding ways to come up with guys that, they drafted Felix Unger-Sorum in the 3rd round this year, and he might make that team out of camp. A guy in the 3rd round, like Unger-Sorum too. Like, dude is good. Like, he should not have fallen down to the 3rd round. He should have been 2nd, probably even mid-2nd. But they find these guys. Like, they pull Seth Jarvis, and they just keep like Nietzsche's when he was first starting to come out of the scene too. Like, they just find these guys and turn into a points machine. But then, like, they've had to go up against Boston. They've had to go up against Tampa Bay. They've had to go up against Pittsburgh. Like, they keep running into good teams in the playoffs. To me, this year for Carolina is like the boom or bust season. Kind of like where...
Oh, interesting.
Where, like, you're looking at this team. You're looking at their contract situations. You're looking at the ages of some of their players in their core. Like, they can't keep leaning on Brent Burns long term. No, they went out and made a big investment in Dmitry Orlov for the next 2 years because they're counting on their defense group: Orlov, Slavin, Burns, Pesce.
Well, they need to count on their defensive group because I don't trust their goaltending.
But again, Freddie Anderson, when healthy, is very, very good, but he's 34. Antti Raanta, good backup, also 34. And they just loaned Pyotr Kochetkov to Tampa Bay because they are that good, like, goaltending pipeline-wise, that needs to be where he can play because he is good enough to be an NHL goaltender. We saw it last season. He should be up, but they don't have a roster spot for him. And he needs to be getting those minutes. It wouldn't surprise me if he ends up being the backup going into the playoffs behind probably Anderson, but if Anderson's hurt, Raanta, and then Kochetkov could be backing up or potentially even starting playoff games. Like, it's not that out of the question. But Carolina has 4 defensemen who are UFAs at the end of this year: Shea, Pesce, D'Angelo, and Chatfield. And then 7 forwards who are either UFAs or RFAs at the end of the year: Teravainen, Nietzsche, Martinuk, who's there, he wears the A for him, Jack Drury, Seth Jarvis. Jarvis is going to get paid. Brendan Lemieux and Stefan Nazin. Like, the way that the team is structured with how their contracts line up, they have to get it like this year because they're not going to be able to afford to keep everybody together longer term. So to me, that was my logic on Carolina in the East, my logic on Dallas in the West. Joel, let's get into yours for your Stanley Cup final matchup.
Based on everything we've been saying, I have the Edmonton Oilers coming out of the West going up against the New Jersey Devils coming out of the East. Which everyone's going to be like, well, what? You had the Stars winning the President's Trophy. You're super high on the Stars. They're clearly the best team in the West, and I still stand by they are the best pretty much overall team in the West, right? At least as it appears, as long as Ottinger carries them, like you mentioned. But we talked about it, and I brought it up earlier. Remember when I said the last 2 years, I said Boston is going to miss the playoffs, and I've been wrong each time, and I'm probably just going to keep saying it until it happens. I have said that Edmonton is going to make the Stanley Cup final each of the last 2 seasons. I'm just going to keep saying it until it happens. But in this case, it's a lot more of a chance because I'm going to keep saying it at least again this season for a 3rd season in a row because I am not going to bet against Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid is a man on a mission, as I said earlier in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about Ovechkin carrying the Capitals to a Stanley Cup victory on his back. I think that McDavid can do the exact same thing, and we've seen it in the last 2 playoff rounds or 2 playoff years. He led the playoffs in points for a few games in each of the last 2 playoff seasons after they were out.
Yeah.
That's not even something Ovechkin pretty much really ever did.
Yeah.
And yet he still was able to carry them to a Stanley Cup on their back. And I'm sorry, I don't think this is a hot take, but Connor McDavid is better than Alex Ovechkin all around.
The 2021-22 playoffs, he was your points leader, and he didn't play in the Cup final.
Exactly. So
he finished 4 points ahead of Makar, who did.
And he's done it 2 years in a row now where he did something like that.
Yeah. Last year he ended up 5th, but
going into the Cup final, he was 1st.
Yes.
It just so happened that Jack Eichel and then Jonathan Marchessault, like they obviously went off.
Hintz.
Matthew Tkachuk, and then Hintz was doing things in the conference final. Right. So he is doing everything he possibly can. And that's just him. You still have Draisaitl. You still have guys like Nurse. You added Evan Bouchard. Right.
He may get more points than Darnell Nurse this year, which
I would have.
Bouchard's good.
Exactly. So they have made moves. We talked about it in our division show. I won't go through all their moves, but they did make some moves. They didn't just kind of say, all right, run it back. We ain't going to touch anything. But they have pieces. Zach Hyman showed up in the playoffs a lot. Evander Kane is playing at a much higher level since coming back into the league than I really expected. Nugent Hopkins is still playing at a high level. They're there. Connor Brown, it goes on. Obviously, we've talked about they need better defense. You just mentioned Evan Bouchard. I mentioned Darnell Nurse. They brought in Matthias Ekholm at the trade deadline last year. They got guys like Cody Ceci. They need more. They need another solid top 4 defenseman, I think, to really kind of make sure that it's not just McDavid who has to carry you guys into the Cup final. And they need goaltending. Stuart Skinner is solid. Jack Campbell is solid-ish. They're guys. Those 2 guys, to me, like those are 2 guys where insert them on a amazingly defensive team like Colorado or like a Carolina. Stuff like that. And yeah, they might look a little better than they do on a team that does need a little more defensive help like the Oilers. That's why, and these are coming up, I have a Joel Stradamus prediction towards the end of the show that could fuel my take here on the Oilers making the Cup final. And then the Devils, I've talked ad nauseum. We both have talked ad nauseum about the Devils. They're going to be the top team in the East. They're going to go to the conference finals. They're going to go to the Stanley Cup. They are ready. They are here. I told you they remind me a lot of the 2010 Blackhawks. They did the exact same thing. They won, but segue into our Stanley Cup champion picks. I'll go first since I segued. Go ahead, Dan. Add them up there.
I'm going to take 2 seconds first just to go back and point out.
Oh, go ahead.
With all of our teams here, the biggest question mark, I think it's safe to say, is their goaltending. Stars, does Ottinger stay healthy? Carolina, who are you going to get from Anderson, Ronstadt?
Yeah.
Kochetkov. It could be any of those three, and with the injury histories, that's fair.
Yep.
Ken Stewart, Skinner, backstop. Who is going to break out between Schmid and Vanacek and really take claim of that starting role? Because you can't be rolling two goaltenders in the playoffs. You have to be playing one. Like, you pick your one and you run with it. And if they you can switch if somebody is like really playing poorly. But you need to have an established number one going into the playoffs.
I would slightly disagree only because I've seen it where you can roll two of them, at least in the first round. But I do agree with you that after that round, if you plan on going deep, you really should have the one solidified. And
it should be locked.
Like I'm talking about, obviously, Scott Darling winning the first round for us in 2015 while Corey Crawford needed to figure his shit out.
Right, but you knew Crawford was the one going forward.
After that round, you put Crawford back in and he figured his shit out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cup predictions.
So now our Stanley Cup picks. And as I said, the Devils, I segued it into it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Devils are going to be one of the best teams in the league, potentially President's Trophy winner. I said that they remind me of the 2010 Hawks. They're going to make it to the Stanley Cup. I do not have them winning the Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
I do, again, it's the theme. I have the Oilers. It's their year. It's got to be their year. One of these years, it's got to hit. And the last 2 years, I really thought it might be their year, especially 2 years ago. They finally broke down the door and got to the conference final and just did not. They just ran out of gas, I guess. Even McDavid, I guess, ran out of gas in that one. They ran into the obviously eventual Stanley Cup winner in the Colorado Avalanche. So no shame there. And then last year, same thing, actually. Oh, yeah. Yeah, same thing. They ran in, they got knocked out by the Golden Knights, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So same thing. Ran into the eventual Stanley Cup winner 2 years in a row. That happens. No shame in that at all. So there is no, it's not like what we say with Toronto, like, okay, or like what you said with Carolina, where it's like, this is their make or break year. I'm not saying that. If they don't win the cup this year, it's not Stanley Cup or bust for the Oilers. But I think in their players' minds, especially McDavid, it should be.
So I like that with our predictions here, if our teams play each other, that's a rematch of the 2006 Stanley Cup, which is the last time each of these teams appeared in a Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, cool.
It could be interesting if it pans out that way. And yeah, Carolina, I mean, like I said, I think they are in cup or bust mode this year and will do absolutely whatever it takes to get over that hump of like they've had really good teams over the last couple of years. They had a President's Trophy. They were a point off the President's Trophy 2 years ago. Last year, Boston did Boston things, but like Carolina was still a very good team, made a deep playoff run, but they saw what Florida did to get by them, made some adjustments this offseason. That's a team that needed to figure out where it was going to get some additional offense from, and they got it. Dmitry Orlov had a fantastic season last year with Boston, not only to take him away from Boston, but to bring him to your team. He brings an element that, as good as Carolina's defensive group was, they didn't have. They have that now. Like, there are so few weak links with the team. And to me, like we talked about with Colorado, like we talked about with the Lightning, this is, to me, the most complete team on paper in the league. So going into things, they're going to be my pick. I know I put money on Dallas beforehand. Like basically as soon as the cup was over last year, I was like, all right, I'm going to get my futures bet in on Dallas because I think they're going to run it back.
Oh, well, speaking of that.
And Edmonton does pose one of the bigger threats to Dallas along the way. that could very well be your Western Conference final matchup between Edmonton and Dallas. That would not surprise me.
Right.
And similarly with your pick with New Jersey, you know, in looking at how the Eastern Conference could shake out this year, like there is a real chance that you could have Carolina and New Jersey going head to head in the second round. There is a possibility that they could end up going head to head in the first round. Like I don't see a scenario where those two are meeting in the conference finals. Like it's gonna come before that. And I think whoever wins that series is probably going to be your Eastern Conference champ.
Yeah. As it stands right now on FanDuel, top at plus 850 for the Stanley Cup is the Colorado Avalanche. I get that. I do. I think they're going to come raring and ready to go. And that's a solid backup option, but I just don't see it happening this year. I wouldn't be surprised though. And then your Carolina Hurricanes are plus 900. They are second. Then the New Jersey Devils are at plus 1,000, third. The Toronto Maple Leafs are at plus 1,100. And then the Edmonton Oilers.
Because Leafs fans will always bet on the Leafs.
Yep.
And it drives the market.
And the Oilers are also at plus 1,100. And then the Stars are at plus 1,300. So if you still haven't gotten that futures bet in, you still can. And that's a solid futures bet to get in. Devils, again, there's a lot of these where I'm actually tempted to maybe try my first year ever at futures, but we'll see.
Joey with a very interesting question here that I want to pick your brain on this one as well.
Let's see.
Joey asks, Carolina in a make or break year, can't remember what their cap space is. Would they potentially take a run at Patrick Kane as that final piece? In my head, I think they do, but I'd have to check the cap. Now, where that's going to get really interesting, I just want to explain the cap situation before we get into the Kane situation. Carolina at the moment has 2.7 mil in cap space, but by the deadline, that figure goes up to about 12 million. Now, that is because they are going to have some long-term injured reserve. They have Ryan Suzuki and Vasily Ponomarev on season opening injured reserve, and they have Andrei Svechnikov on injured reserve to start the year. So they are going to be able to kind of bank some of that cap space for later in the year so that they potentially – I'll just say the math works at this point. It looks like it could work if they decided they wanted to go that route and bring in Patrick Kane. That said, Joel, give me your thoughts on that, on Kane to the Canes.
I like it. I think that's a very sound take. Like that's one of the more real. I'm going to tease it now. I have a bold take for where Patrick Kane ends up later on in the show, but I think this is one of those more like that's a realistic take. The cap, they can make the cap work. He's not going to be fully 100% healthy until about, I think it's November. The last time I checked, it might be sooner just because he was ahead of schedule the last time I had researched it. But I think November is probably the safe bet where he's actually like fully ready to go and get back on the ice. Let's just say December then at that point and be a little longer with it. So that puts them close to the deadline where they have the cap room to do it. And also, that's one of the top teams I've heard or I've seen some smoke around Kane going to. Hurricanes were one of them. I know Dallas was another one. Dallas and Carolina were probably two of the ones that had the most smoke midway through this offseason.
I think Buffalo and Detroit as well were two more that
Buffalo's got the home.
In the mix.
Buffalo's got the hometown boy advantage. We'll get to that.
Yeah, Detroit has the can he play with DeBrincat again? Advantage.
I would put Detroit too, like that top three. It was Carolina, it was Dallas, and then it was Detroit because he did go on record saying he would like to go play with DeBrincat again. He tried going back to Panarin, and that all didn't exactly flesh out much. But yeah, I think that's a solid take. I think that's a damn good final piece to add if you're gonna to a team that's already just very, very damn good offensively. Like you add Patrick Kane to the mix, like you're good to go, and you're ready for that deep run. But
the injury that he had, it's called hip resurfacing, is the procedure that he had to do. Has a 4 to 6 month time frame for recovery, and that's just recovery. That doesn't include recovery to the point where you are back to being able to skate at an NHL level. With a 4 to 6 month time frame, based on when he had the surgery.
When do you have the surgery again?
At June 1st.
June
So you have June, July, August,
September. So this month is recovery.
End of September would be the absolute earliest that it would be like, okay, he can start rehabbing to get back to conditioning. Because you can be healthy without being NHL conditioned. He's got to get conditioned. If it ends up being 6 months for heal plus another month or two for conditioning, you're looking at him coming back very close to the trade deadline, which would also be the deadline for them to potentially sign him for free agency and have him be playoff eligible.
Exactly. So that works out very nicely for them. I like that.
For whatever team signs him. It could be Carolina, it could be somebody different, but the timeline is at least set in such a way that it's not like you have to sign Kane now, get him on a deal, and long-term injured reserve him and hope he's back. They'll be able to kind of get some eyes on him too.
They'll get him at a discount too.
Whoever gets him. Yeah.
Yeah. He wants to go win another cup. He's not trying to.
Yeah. He'll take a league minimum deal that is incentive laden so that it keeps the cap hit low, but the real dollars that he could potentially get higher. That's the way to play that for sure.
So that's a solid point.
Great question, Joey.
Yeah.
Joey's always got good questions for us.
Of course he does. All right, man. That's our pick. Your Stanley Cup champion is the Carolina Hurricanes. My Stanley Cup champion is the Edmonton Oilers. As we've done every other season, we'll probably end up changing that halfway through or so.
We'll see. They're my pick at the very least until the playoffs roll around and we know what the playoff bracket looks like. But
exactly. Then we'll make our other picks when our next playoff show happens.
Also throwing this out there, I'm not just picking Carolina because I live here now.
I was going to make the joke. You beat me to it.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, you want to talk about
quicker than that?
Oh, you want to talk about some betting? Want to talk about some season-long betting props?
Sure thing. Let's get into. We've got a few lined up here, and want to start with what we talked about earlier this year. Alex Ovechkin over or under 40.5 goals. I'm hammering that over
quickly. I'm also hammering that over,
especially if I'm picking him to win the Richard this year. Which, you made a. Oh, excuse me. We're getting late.
No yawning, Dan. We were ready for this to be long.
We're on more than an hour and a half of show here. We have not gone this long since the Kyle Beach news dropped. Like that was the longest show we had to date.
Was that 2 hours?
That was mostly 2 hours.
That was me just in my feelings.
Yeah,
just ranting.
That was a lot. That's a heavy show. We're going to keep this one much more on the lighter side than that. But yeah, especially after taking Ovechkin to win, and like you made a good case for some other guys. Like, yeah, McDavid's probably got a shot. Draisaitl's probably better positioned than Ovechkin, but I'm not going to not take Ovechkin. I like the guy. He's fantastic.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah, I'm taking the over.
With over 40.5, he doesn't have to win the Richard to hammer that over. When was the last time he had less than 40?
The season where he had 45 games and he finished with 28. Which, like, if you extend that pace out for the rest of the season, that's shortened? 56.
Or was he hurt?
That was the 2021 season where they had 56 games total.
So that was COVID shortened season, so that doesn't count.
Yeah.
The last full season.
The last full season that he didn't was 2016-17, where he had 33.
Man, that's bad for him.
Yeah. And he finished with 69 points in 82 games.
Nice.
Yeah, no.
Also interesting to note, that was the third lowest shot total of a season where he played at least 75 games. He had 313 shots that season.
Hammer the over, dude. That's easy money.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he gets hurt, but I don't think he will. Hammer the over.
If he's healthy, he's got to get there.
We've talked about it ad nauseum throughout the show. Connor McDavid, over under 137.5 points. Dan, we've talked about it. We've painted many pictures.
Pushing it in on the over.
Really?
Pushing it in on the over. Like, the fact that he had 150 some odd points last year and is entering what now should be like the best years of his career. Give me the over.
You are absolutely right. I just want to get a quick track record here for everybody. For the record, I'm not even going to hold it in.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to hammer the over on that as well. He's that damn good.
Mm-hmm.
His last 3 seasons, 105, 123, 153. Give me the over. Oh, and I'm sorry. That's his last 3 seasons. He's only had 2 seasons in his career where he didn't break 100. 2019-20, he only had 97.
Which that was the year that was cut short by COVID.
COVID, exactly. Also, he only played 64 games. 97 points. I said only. I used only very loosely. And then, you guessed it, he had 48 points his rookie year when he got hurt and only played 45 games.
Mm-hmm.
And still had 48 points. So, yeah, give me the over. His trend line, a solid player, his trend line kind of, slowly rises. His has just been just straight up.
He had 1.88 points per game in 2020-21. 1.87 last year. Like, if he is right around 2 points per game, which he can do, like that he's been that close and presumably should be even better.
I'm almost convinced that he doesn't eclipse 2.0 per game because his coach just tells him to take it easy certain weeks. Like, hey, all right, like let's calm down. Yeah, hammer the over.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're gonna do. We talked about this earlier, but we're gonna do your boy first. We got to throw the hometown boys in there, and we'll throw your hometown boy in there first.
Okay. Kirill Kaprizov, the jersey I'm wearing tonight.
Oh, you found it?
I did. Find it.
Good.
That was, oh boy, I was stressed about that one, but did find it. So thank God. Like we moved at the end of August. I genuinely did not know where the jersey was until about 4:00 this afternoon. And I had been looking through boxes trying to make sure we had it, and got rid of boxes and was hoping it wasn't in a box that we donated or something like that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, that would have been.
It would have been crushing.
The NHL jerseys are expensive, man.
They are.
Also,
this one was not cheap.
Total side note: Monday Night Football is in Vegas, and Jack Eichel was just on the halftime show.
Oh, nice.
He had the cup. Brought the cup to the ESPN table.
Sweet.
But all right, Kaprizov over under 42.5, Dan.
Again, give me the over. And I'm going to go so far as to say Kaprizov hits 50 this year.
Whoa.
I think he gets there.
Man. How old is he? 26?
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah, he's 26.
Had a fall off in points last year, though. 108 to 75.
He was hurt.
He was hurt. He played 67 games last year as
Yeah.
opposed to the 81 the previous.
Right.
If he stays healthy, he put up 40 last year, even though that's only a difference of 7 goals when playing.
Right.
about 13,
and similarly, like coming into the prime of his career.
I'm with you. I'm going to hammer the over. I also wouldn't be surprised if he touches 50. Dude's damn good. He needs more around him.
He does. And the moves that the Wild made this offseason to extend Hartman, extend Foligno, extend Johansson. Like the Johansson one Zuccarello. And getting Johansson extended will help Boldy. Getting Zuccarello extended will help Kaprizov.
Yeah, totally.
Like they call him Uncle Kirill. Zuccarello's kids call him Uncle Kirill because that's how often those two are hanging out.
I just want to drink McGolden Lights.
Yeah. I'm just here for McGolden Lights.
Just here for McGolden Lights.
The best interview.
That is awesome.
His English has come a long way too. Like he was at the Twins game and was talking about that the other day and was like he knew baseball terminology in English. Like pretty cool. I love that.
It's easy to do.
I hope more of the team is learning Russian beyond him just learning English and being expected. Like,
I'd imagine they are. It's just funny.
There are a couple guys who I won't mention names, but like that were on the team and are not there anymore, who I do not think would have like put forth the effort to learn Russian.
I would argue that a Russian player playing on a Midwest team, easier to learn English in those as opposed to
He probably honestly. I'm surprised he doesn't know Swedish with as much as with the Swedish guys on the team.
Who says he doesn't?
Yeah, like random tangent. Like Zdeno Chara spoke 7 languages. Like that's part of what made him such a good captain. He spoke 7 languages.
Jeez.
So that he could like just talk to his teammates.
Yep.
But to be like fluent in 7 languages is insane.
No, that's true. And then Connor Bedard betting props. We'll do points and goals. So Connor Bedard over under 31.5 goals. We'll do that one first. Dan, what do you think?
I'm gonna go under.
Yeah, of course you are.
Just let me explain it.
I'm just giving you
the reason I'm taking under is because for as good a shot as Bedard has, the Hawks aren't looking at him on that line to be the shooter. They're looking for him to work with Hall and probably have Taylor Hall be your primary shooter on that line. So for that reason, I think he will be much closer to that points prop than on the goals prop. But
I'm gonna disagree with you on
that. If I had to pick a number for where I think he's gonna finish this year, I'm gonna say 27. I'm gonna say 27 goals for Bedard. Just the adjustment from juniors to NHL with no AHL time in between is a very, very, very difficult jump. And yes, Bedard is one of those few players who, like, if I'm trying to pick somebody who has the skill to make that transition relatively seamlessly, Bedard is a good person to bet on. I do think that 31.5 line is just a little too high for me. If they had set that line at even 28.5, 29.5, I'd really think about taking the over if that was the line. But 31.5 to me, that's just a little bit too high for me to feel comfortable saying the over. At 32 goals or more, that's just a little too high for me. Points, on the other hand,
it's
going to be close too.
We'll get So for goals, first of all, I actually do disagree. They're, at least based on the preseason play, they're looking for him to be the shooter.
On empty nets.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to get it in.
I just loved we didn't get to talk about that. I just loved how he was actually visibly pissed off at himself. Like that was like someone was like, "Hey, nice shot," and he literally looked at me. He's like, "No," And he like waved them off. Like, no, this isn't. No, this is stupid. Like,
the story of Kane and Taves. With does Patrick Kane ever get on your nerves? It's like same thing, same energy.
Pass me the puck. Yeah,
and he says, "Screw you."
Screw
what he said.
Screw you, Kaner. You know.
Yep.
But
same energy.
It's they are looking for him to be the shooter, and especially on the power play. Like the any chance that they got, they were trying to set him up at the end. He's at the point on the power play too. So like they're setting him up for all of that reason. While I do agree, 31.5 seems high, and I think it's gonna be close.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to take the over, but not by much. Like almost a push, like 32. Like barely over.
Like they set a good line.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's a tough. I'm not going to bet on this. I would take the over though. But at the same time, if he gets 25 goals or something, like hell yeah, dude, I break 20. I don't even care. Like
if he hits 25, that's still a very good rookie season.
Of course it is.
Like. Give me a moment to look up.
But as you're looking that up, yes. Now the next part is the Connor Bedard over under 68.5 points. Similar to what you were mentioning, like with Taylor Hall, Lucas Reichel, at least on the power play, they're not going to be on the same line. I don't even know if they're going to put him on the power play line either, but Ryan Donato has proved to be pretty damn good with his passing. Taylor Hall is going to be. I actually think he's going to lead the Blackhawks in assists. Korchinski's now starting, and him and Bedard had some pretty good chemistry, especially in that showcase against you guys that was in Minnesota. 68.5. I am also taking the over.
I was looking up here while you were
looking at the goal.
Well, I was looking up rookie goals, like just to kind of put into perspective where some of these other players were at. And again, some of these guys coming in as sort of overage rookies, but some like for example, our Artemi Panarin, his rookie season he had 30 goals, but he wasn't coming in at 18.
Right.
But then you get players like Ovechkin. Ovechkin had 52 his rookie year. Matthews had 40. Crosby 39, Line 36. Those are your top marks. For the line,
McDavid had 14 even on an injury, I think it was, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for this line of 31.5, that would be for him to hit the over, something that only 8 players have done in the last 20 years.
Right.
Which again, knowing that he's going to be generational talent, a phrase that we try to use pretty sparingly on this show, knowing that that's kind of the mark of what he's up against. And actually at 31, so at 31.5, the 8 players who would have hit over, meaning 32 or more, Ovechkin, Matthews, Crosby, Line, Grabner, Malkin, Logan Couture, and Marek Svatos.
Who?
Yeah, he's the one in there that is like, wait, really? And Svatos, he never hit 30 goals in a season again after that. At 32 and he had 50 points his rookie season. Never broke 40 points and never broke 30 goals after that. But like the rest of the players on that list, some pretty good careers.
Right.
So that to say, for that to be kind of your line of where you're thinking here for Bedard's goal total. And again, good shot, but it's more what does he do to set other guys up and create that offense? That's his skill set. So I think points, I said 25 goals or I said 27 goals. Before I saw that this was where the line was at, I was going to say 68 points.
Oh.
Right. Like before that was where I saw the line was actually at. I was like, man, I don't think he gets 70, but I think he breaks 65. I said 68. And then here's the line. So like by default, I have to go under. I think his points prop will be closer to going over than his goal prop.
That's fair. I had a number. I'm just going to stick with it and stick to my guns. We talked about it, I think, even before. I think before the draft, we talked about a number there. 68.5. I do have the over. Again, I take the over on both of these, but the goals, I don't feel that good about taking the over right now. The points, though, I do feel good about taking the over on that. I had him at like 72 points, which is phenomenal if he can do that.
Did you pick that number because it would match Patrick Kane's rookie point total?
No, that's totally coincidental.
72 is Patrick Kane's point total. And again, for players who had 69 or more points in their rookie season in the last 20 years, there are 10 of them. Most recently on that list was Matthew Barzal, 85 points in his rookie season. Austin Matthews, 69. Nicholas Backstrom, 69. Brad Boys, 69.
They're doing this on purpose.
Panarin, 77.
Yep.
Stasny, 78. Malkin, 85. Barzal, 85. Crosby, 102. Ovechkin, 106.
Right.
So, like, just so that people are aware that this is the projection of what you're looking at and what sorts of milestones you're up against.
You're trying so hard to just...
I'm just saying, like,
it's going to be
perspective.
Going to be the under. He's going to put up 5 goals and 10 assists.
No, I'm not trying to say that at all. Like, the Wild fan in me would be happy, but it would also be like, man, if Bedard puts up 5 goals and 10 assists this season, and that's it, like, guess what? Chicago's picking first overall next year too, and then they can choose between: do they want Macklin Celebrini? Do they want Cole Yzerman? Do they want? There are several guys who are playing in Russia right now who, again, very similar to last year, where it's like there's 5 guys who would go first overall in other years.
You got to prepare for us to get one of them. We're going to be picking like top 5, top 8.
Oh, I'm fully aware that the Hawks are picking top 5 again next year. I just don't want them picking top 2.
Right. That I don't see happening. Unless Bedard gets hurt.
Maybe that's going to be my bold take, is Chicago ends up with a top 2 pick.
Well,
because I see that we had some bold takes that we came up with here.
We got some bold takes. We'll be quick with them. I know we're pushing
I'm not
2
going
hours.
to throw. Yeah, I'm not going to throw that one in there that the Hawks get a top 2 pick again this year.
We're going to be bad. We ain't going to be that bad. Also, you need to. I can't stress enough what Luke Richardson was able to do with trash last year. And now he has Connor Bedard, amongst other things.
Oliver Moore.
Well, that's not
already sniping guys.
He now has that. He's got Kevin Korchinski, who's making the starting lineup, and I'm so excited for him.
Do you think that's going to be like full season he's up, or is this like your cup of coffee to start the year and then send down?
No, I'm actually starting to get sold on it. It's going to be a full year. He's earned it, and Luke Richardson talks ridiculously highly of him too. Unless something goes terribly wrong and he just is like, oh shit, oh my God, what is going on? Everyone is flying past me. I need to go back to Seattle. Then they'll keep him up for like 10, 20 games and then send them back. But anyway, bold takes, Dan.
Do you want to go first on this one, or do you want me to go first?
Joel Stradamus is going to come back to the building.
Okay.
First, this isn't exactly that bold. We talked about it already, but I'm going to say bold as in like I'm confirming this. Even though Joey's take was very, very poignant and very educated, and it's actually, I could see that happening over this, to be honest with you. Patrick Kane will go home. He will be a Buffalo Sabre.
I feel like that would be. I don't know that Buffalo is at the point where they do that, where they bring Kane in because of how it would affect player development for some of their younger players. Just in the sense that if you're bringing in Patrick Kane, you're probably planning on him playing top 6 forward minutes, right?
Yeah.
Looking at the long-term future of this team and who some of those guys are who would be playing in that top 6 role, are you going to bump Victor Olofsson? Are you going to bump Zach Benson? Are you going to bump JJ Peterka?
Yes.
Those are your younger guys that you are counting on longer term who will need to be playing big minutes. Does Kane eat into that? And if so, how much? Which is why I really like Joey's point of with Carolina being like boomer bust, this is it. And because of how many guys are on expiring deals, I think strategically it would make more sense for Carolina to pursue than Buffalo. That's not to say Buffalo shouldn't give it a look and just write it off altogether. That's just saying from an organization fit standpoint, to me, it doesn't make sense, but I see why Buffalo would be tempted to go that route too. And it makes sense.
The thing is, to me, it does make sense because you have all those young kids. They're not winning the cup this year. You have all those young kids, and guess what? Who better to teach those young kids the ropes than one of the best American-born players of all time? And okay, so he takes some minutes from some of those names you just mentioned, but it's not like it's going to be. He's not going to want to take a crap ton of minutes from them. The coaches are there for a reason. They know how to mix up those lines, throw the blender in a little bit, and actually figure that out and manage those minutes with those kids, putting them on it. Put some of those kids on a line with him, and that's going to get their confidence way the hell up. That's just the thing. The Patrick Kane effect. He makes line mates better. Especially
Peterka on the opposite wing with Dylan Cousins up the middle. That could be a fun line to watch.
Exactly.
I'm going to also go with Buffalo for my first bold take here. We're only doing 2 each. But
yes, you are.
After 12 straight years of missing the playoffs, not only will the Buffalo Sabres make the playoffs, they will advance to the Eastern Conference Final.
Whoa!
I am very, very in on the Buffalo Sabres. And I'm looking at an Atlantic Division where Boston is so hurting for center depth. You lose Bergeron, you lose Krejci. They lost Orlov from that team we talked about earlier. Boston's going to kind of go through it and take a big, big step back this year. I look at a team like Tampa Bay, who is going to be without Andrei Vasilevsky early on and has Steven Stamkos in a contract year with no deal and is looking to get that deal done. Does that become a distraction as you carry out into the season? Detroit, where are you at with the Yzer plan? Ottawa, has Ottawa, have they developed their young guys enough to make the playoffs? I don't think so, but I think they'll be close. But they're not there right now. Florida had great run to the Cup last year. Toronto, again, they got out of the first round, but what did they do this offseason to address their weaker areas from last year? Again, all you got to do is get there. And it's possible that, they get there and, and trip up because they don't have that experience. But this isn't lukewarm takes. This isn't mild salsa take. This is bold takes. So if I'm going to lean into it, I'm going to go bold and say that they get there, they go to the Eastern Conference Finals, they run into Carolina, and Carolina wins it.
That is a bold take, but you know what? I like it. I like it a lot because I like
just for how fun it would be.
But I'm like you. I am high on the Sabres. Hell, I was high on them last year. I was actually. I think you and I both were like, they're going to make the playoffs this year. Like they could do it. They didn't, but that's okay.
Yeah, we got this far into the show and we didn't even bring up like Zach Benson and Peyton
Yeah.
Krebs and Casey Middlestad, what they're going to do. I don't think we even mentioned. Well, no, we did mention Owen Power. We did.
I mentioned him on a line with Rasmus Dahlin.
Yeah,
on a pairing with him.
Like they have just a boatload of talent, and
they're going to add Patrick Kane to it. This is fueling my old Joel Stradamus take.
Mm.
But I'm with you. I think Buffalo is this year's Seattle.
I could see that. I think the one thing that worries me is that goaltending where
that's
is it going to be Luukkonen? Is it going to be Levi? Is it going to be somebody else? Do they go out and make a trade for a goaltender? But man, the framework is there.
I'm almost going to argue that if they are this year's Seattle, they're actually more sustainable right now than Seattle might be.
Maybe. They've certainly had the longer-term early draft capital than what Seattle had. And they were able to have a prospect pool in place before Seattle. So that's
I like this take. I like it. Now this is an actual, like, I am breaking out real Joel Stradamus here.
Mm.
I think John Gibson will be traded. I don't know when, but he will be traded to either the Edmonton Oilers or the New Jersey Devils. So we kept talking about this when we kept bringing up the Devils and the Oilers, and we talked about all of our Final Fours, or our four teams that we had in the Stanley Cup Final.
Mm-hmm.
We said, like, all right, the goaltending is kind of the biggest, like, North Star for them. What's going to happen there? Obviously, Dallas is the only one that solidified this. Jake Ottinger. His only thing was, like, he just has to stay healthy. But after that, the Devils, you're right. Like, can Vanacek be more than just a guy that's just kind of riding the shoulders of a good defense and a good offense? Same thing with Edmonton. Like, Jack Campbell, Stuart Skinner, that combo. Like, is that gonna do it for you? I don't think so. But
I have to wonder, because I feel like if Edmonton is going to get him, Anaheim is retaining salary, and Edmonton is probably sending Jack Campbell just to, like, get the money alone to work.
Yep.
From there, like looking at Edmonton, who would Anaheim be, like, targeting in that trade return? Like, to me, the name that jumps out right away is Philip Broberg as somebody who, if they're going to pull that deal off, he's probably in on it. Maybe Carter Savoie, Xavier Bourgault. Like, those are probably the guys you're looking at. But number one on that list has to be Broberg to lock up Anaheim's defense group with another solid prospect.
And the thing is Edmonton is going to be willing to do it.
Yeah, because when you have your guy you want, and they still have their first round and second round picks this year.
Yep.
Also a first round pick in 25. So, like, if they want to get creative with that draft capital, there's ways to make the money work. I think between those two, Edmonton is more likely. I'm going to throw a third team match in the mix. And I'm not going to go so far as to say this is where he is going for sure. I do think Gibson gets traded. Just while
I was going to say, like, you defined this as, like, this is supposed to be spicy takes. That's the thing.
Yeah.
This is a spicy take to put him. I think he's getting traded. That to me is not a bold take at all.
No, he has to be out by the end of this year.
He's 30 years old.
Or he's going to stay there forever and just never win anything. And I would feel terrible for him if that was the case.
Yeah, exactly. All right, who's this third team?
This third team I'm going to throw out there is a team that made some very splashy moves this offseason to try and get back to some relevance along the way. It has a GM who just might be crazy enough to go make this type of move. Do you want to try and guess what team I'm going to throw out there?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Give me the conference, though.
Eastern Conference.
All right. Pittsburgh?
Not Pittsburgh.
Okay, because Dubas is crazy. So
he kind of is, but I mean he's got Tristan Jarry.
I know. I don't
They
think
they signed Nedeljkovic. I wouldn't think that would be the route.
Okay.
The Columbus Blue Jackets.
Whoa.
Just looking at the moves Jarmo has made the last, especially this offseason, to try and get Columbus back to being a playoff team. Like he legitimately thinks they are no more than 2 years away from being cup contenders.
Yeah, but
that is how he views that team.
Don't they believe in Elvis though?
I mean,
I thought that was like their guy.
Yes, but if it looks partway through the season that Elvis doesn't have it figured out once the rest of the team around him is healthy, they're not going to wait for Daniil Tarasov to come into his own and be the guy. Tarasov is the backup this year. If Merzlikins does not look like the starter, he could be out. Also, Merzlikins could ask to be out. I mean, for him,
that's true.
After the death of Matisse Kivlenieks, like that hit Elvis so hard that he said he would cry when they shot off the cannon after scoring a goal because that was like a triggering memory of what happened.
Yep.
Part of me wonders if maybe for Elvis's sake, if he needs out of Columbus to kind of help with that healing process so he can move on.
That's a good point.
And it's entirely possible that he asks out just to get a fresh start somewhere else. If that's the case, Jarmo could pull the trigger on that type of a move. I could see Columbus being kind of a dark horse John Gibson candidate there. I think Hellebuck is completely off the table for everybody after.
Well, so let me clarify. This bold take was actually Connor Hellebuck will be traded to either the Edmonton Oilers or the New Jersey Devils.
I do still think Gibson is.
Gibson was the other one, but it was always like, to me, it's like, well, Connor Hellebuck is the more sought after than John Gibson.
Right.
And I really didn't think they were going to get a deal done. And then sure enough, that deal today, which we talked
out
about.
of nowhere, they dropped both of them too. We finally got Mateo checking in here too. What's up, Mateo?
Mateo, you're 2 hours late.
Better late than never.
That's okay.
Mateo drafted a heck of a fantasy team too, by the way.
He did.
He had a solid squad.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. That's kind of my thing. Because as good as New Jersey's going to be, but if that one question mark, as we know, is the goaltending, if Vanecek can't do, you know what? I love that reasoning. I need to get back to the gym, getting over a cold, so I haven't been at. I got to do the same thing. But yeah, Edmonton definitely needs it, and I think that could be the key to finally kicking down the door, as you said, and then or New Jersey, and I think they can both figure out a way to make it work, and they both have the capital to make it work. And then there's your final bold take.
Final bold take of the night, and I had a hard time setting where exactly I wanted this number to be.
The New Yorkers are going to come at you, Dan. Okay. We're talking about Alexei Lafreniere.
Lafreniere.
Yeah.
70 points this season.
Okay.
He has 91 career points through 3 seasons with New York. His career high is 79. This is a big jump.
Yep.
I think he is ready to make this big jump. He turns 22 on Wednesday. This will be his 4th season in the league. And as a former first overall pick, the timeline is starting to get to that point of, okay, well, is this breakthrough going to happen? And we talked about you got to be patient with some of these guys, especially those first-round picks who had their careers impacted early on by COVID and dealing with shortened seasons, dealing with missing out on that development time in juniors, missing out on development time in the AHL. To me, Lafreniere is about at that point where Jack Hughes was 2 years ago, where it was kind of the, did we make a mistake going with Jack Hughes? Like that was kind of a legitimate question that Devils fans were asking 2 years ago.
Right.
The Rangers are in a very similar boat now with Lafreniere, which makes their signing of Blake Wheeler this offseason, that was kind of a surprise to me. Like, you're really going to go get another winger, and you have invested some really early draft capital in Alexis Lafreniere and Capo Caco. And I mean, looking right now, you've got Lafreniere projecting as being on the third line behind Kreider and Panarin. You've got Caco on the first line, Kylie on 2, and Blake Wheeler on 3. You almost wonder, maybe do they make Lafreniere play on his off wing and switch him over to the right side to get him into the top 6? Like, the move has to be coming there for Lafreniere, because he's not a checking shutdown role guy. He is a go create and make plays type of guy. If he gets that opportunity to crack top 6 and legitimately play top 6 minutes, not just, oh, we're going to put him up on the top 6 for tonight and tomorrow, but then we're going to take him back down to 3-4 next week. To me, this has to be kind of the year where it's like, do we see this growth? Do we see a path for him to get to that next level here in New York, or do we ship him out? I think he's ready to make that jump and step up in a major way to get to 70. Something
tells me Peter Laviolette's going to be able to
yes.
He's going to be able to put him in those situations that he hasn't been getting put on. He's not going to put him on the 4th or the 3rd line and not pair him with those guys that can make him better. Like, he's going to do that now. He's going to pair him. Put him on the top. Put him on the line with Panarin.
Yeah, which again, you're putting one of those two on their off wing to do, but
that's fine.
I think he has to carve out a way into the top 6 this year, and I think his play is going to command that he gets top 6 minutes rather than just, we're giving it to you. Like, he's going to take those minutes.
Right. What did he finish with last year?
Lafreniere?
Yeah, I'm checking right now.
39 points, 16 goals, 23 assists.
So, I mean, it's still not, like, it's not Jack Hughes' trajectory, because Jack Hughes was 31 points, I think, then moved up to 53, and then obviously the 70.
Right. And the other thing, too, is Hughes is a center, Lafreniere is a winger.
Right.
There's a little bit of a difference there, too. But
it's really funny. This dude is one old-looking 21-year-old.
Lafreniere? Yeah.
Yeah. He looks way older than 21.
Yeah.
That's the thing, too, though. He's 21.
Yeah. 22 on Wednesday.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I think that's a solid take. I like both of your bold takes.
I want to end on a bold take from one of our viewers.
Oh, hell yeah.
We've got a bold take from Mateo, who is saying the Coyotes make the playoffs.
The Yotes make the playoffs. Someone had to say it, and quite frankly, I'm glad that we got a viewer to do it.
Season-long Coyotes for the bit.
Season-long Coyotes for the bit. Coyotes for the bit is going to be used a hell of a lot. Oh, he's got a second bold take. Let's get the second one in here. Second bold take, I will be hammered at my wedding this weekend. That's not a bold take. If you're
Congratulations on your wedding this weekend. Let's not bury the lead there.
Yeah, hold on a second. Congrats on getting married, for one. For two, you should be. It's your wedding. Just, not too much to the point where the bride gets pissed.
Yeah.
But back to his other bold take. Yeah. Hey, man. It's not the first time I've heard it today, let alone in general. Maybe they could surprise us. And also, wouldn't it be amazing? I heard this on that CHGO podcast. I want to end. We'll end on this too. Wouldn't it be amazing to somehow have the Yotes just get to the playoffs, make some crazy random amount of noise, do something even crazier than what Florida did last year, and then have the Stanley Cup final have to be played in a sub 5,000 seat arena just to embarrass the shit out of Gary Bettman more?
Well, I don't think that would embarrass Bettman. I think he would love that, because he would point to that and be like, yes, see, this proves Arizona hockey can work. He would absolutely
fine. He can spin that, but it would be embarrassing.
I'm gonna take that one step further. Let's get an Arizona Coyotes Buffalo Sabres Stanley Cup final, and just mess with everything.
Yep. Just
it's
screw your
what we
agendas.
need to bring the universe back into alignment.
Yep. And the Coyotes win, and Logan Cooley wins the Conn Smythe as a rookie.
HP's ears just perked up hearing you say that.
I know.
He hasn't been with us for the show tonight. He's on the road.
Traitor.
So,
just kidding.
But yeah, HP's ears perked up wherever he's at right now to hear that one. So that's the end.
That is it. We made it. To all of you that stayed the entire 2 hours and 19
almost
minutes.
20 minutes. Remember when you told us, you mentioned to me before the show, you're like, I think we'll get an hour, maybe hour and a half. I don't see any way we get 2 hours. And I said, bet we're going to go at least 2. I'm just saying.
Here's the thing. We could have done that, but we just started having fun along the way.
We could have kept it to hour 45.
We could have rattled through the NHL awards in like 5 minutes. Could have just been like, yep, that's the name. That's it. Yep, that.
But we had to explain our picks. We had to explain who else was in contention.
Yep.
220. That's a good note to end it on for tonight. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in at any point throughout our show tonight. We are live usually on Tuesday nights, but tonight we had to do Monday because hockey is back.
It's here. We have made it through the offseason. We have made it through the draft. We have made it through the preseason. It counts tomorrow night, folks. It counts tomorrow night.
And did you really think I was going to make Joel do a show tomorrow night and force him to miss Connor Bedard's first game? You really think I was going to do that? No, we had to do a Monday show.
You're not that mean.
Next week, we will have a Tuesday show. The week after that, we will be back to a Monday show. And then we'll be Tuesdays the rest of the way after that. 8 Eastern, 7 Central. We hope that you'll join us there. We hope you'll join us on demand, Apple and Spotify for your podcasts. Go back and watch on YouTube as well. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow Twitter, Facebook, YouTube at Pod Snipe Celly.
A lot more to YouTube coming up here.
We will be continuing to move in that direction. So kind of just trying to ride out the clock here, see if we can end the show at exactly 2:22:22 for a runtime.
2:22:22 for all the Chicago people.
See what we can do. It's not quite 3:33, but 2:22.
Unfortunately, I'll take 2:22. We will do that because also take the plus 200 tomorrow night on Connor Bedard's first goal coming against the Pittsburgh Penguins.
There you go. He's Joel. I'm Dan. Enjoy your night, everybody.
It's here.